Back with another video for you today. In this one, we are going to be introducing the Blendtec Twister Jar. It's a brand new jar just put out by Blendtec. It's only been on the market for a few weeks. That's as long as I've had it, so I'm nowhere near as adept with it as I am the traditional containers, the standard container and the wild side. However, I have been pretty impressed with what I've been able to do with it so far, and today we're going to show you a little bit about how it works. The first thing I want to show you is the differences visually between the standard containers and the Twister Jar. You'll notice immediately it's about half the size. In fact, in volume it holds exactly half as much. Standard container for Blendtec holds 64 ounces max. This container holds 32 ounces max, and it is marked to the halfway point, 16 ounces. It's also marked in milliliters. You will see that the blade assemblies are exactly the same in both jars. There's the drive shaft, same one. Obviously, it fits on the motor base that comes with the Total Blender package or the HP3A. It is sold separately. You're not going to be, at least for now, buying the Total Blender with this Twister Jar container. It's sold separately. The big difference, other than the size and the volume, is the unique lid that comes with it. This is called the Twister Jar lid, and the most unique feature of it obviously is a set of arms that extends from the lid, which will be on the inside of the jar. And what they are designed to do is, as you spin manually this jar during operation, these arms will redirect ingredients into the center of the jar, where the blade will then pull them down to be fully incorporated. Now, why might you need the Twister Jar? Well, if you own a high-performance blender, or if you're researching these machines in hopes of getting one, you've probably come across, either in your reading or in your actual use, a condition called cavitation, which is a very common occurrence in every single high-performance blender out there. And what cavitation is, if you're not familiar with it, it's simply an air pocket that develops around these blades when you are using dense ingredients, dry ingredients, or frozen ingredients. And that air pocket will prevent ingredients from reaching the cutting path of that blade unless and until you get rid of it. Now, there's several different tricks to getting rid of cavitation. The more experience you have with the blenders, the easier it will be to alleviate it. With the Vitamix, obviously, it comes with a tamper. That tamper is very effective in eliminating cavitation occurrences. There are several tricks to the Blendtec as well. What I'm going to do in this jar today is make peanut butter. And the reason I've chosen peanut butter, if you're familiar with the video I did comparing the Blendtec and the Vitamix standard containers, how they made peanut butter, what you saw was that both machines made great, perfectly smooth peanut butter. However, the time that it took to make them is what really separated the two machines. The Vitamix made peanut butter in about 90 seconds, where the Blendtec standard container, it took us about 5.5 to 6 minutes, if I recall. And the reason for that drastic time difference was the condition called cavitation. The Vitamix, obviously, with a tamper, I was able to alleviate that cavitation by simply pressing those nuts back into the cutting path of the blade. Where with the Blendtec, I had to stop the machine every time the cavitation occurred, take a spatula and redirect those nuts back into the cutting path of the blade, getting rid of that air pocket. And I had to repeat that 5 or 6 times, but eventually the Blendtec did a phenomenal job with peanut butter as well. The Twister Jar is designed for your thick, more dense or frozen ingredients like peanut butter, hummus, baba ganoush, smoothies. You can make ice cream in this jar. But it's not going to require that you do anything to get rid of the cavitation other than simply twist the lid. And hopefully, if the jar works as advertised, it will significantly cut down on the amount of time it takes to make this peanut butter. So let's go ahead and make some. I've got 2 cups of peanuts. This is the only ingredient we will be using, just like it was in the previous video. You could obviously add sweetener. You could add oil if you wanted to. We're going to use just nuts. Now, the the Twister Jar does not come with a set of instructions. It's like Anything else, the more experience you get using this jar, the easier it will be to use. You will figure out your own set of speeds to go on, depending on your ingredients, which will generate for you the best results. With the Vitamix and peanut butter, you're going to go to the high speed, and use that tamper to help make your peanut butter. I've made peanut butter in the 2 weeks that I've had this jar on the high speed. It does work well. It gets really, really hot. I've made it on very low speeds. It works as well. It works well as also, but you have to, it will take a little more time. I have found, for peanut butter specifically, that the mid-range speeds work best. So we're going to go to speed 5 using our manual controls on the Blendtec, and we will simply use that speed and the twister jar lid for as long as it takes to make this peanut butter, and we'll see what we have and how long it takes to make it. If I didn't show you earlier, the top of the lid, I don't know if you can make it out here, it's got an arrow on it which will show you or remind you the general direction to spin those arms as you're making your recipes. So we'll put that on. It doesn't have a latch, it just fits securely in there. Obviously, again, the arms are on the inside of the jar. We'll go to speed 5 for as long as it takes to make this peanut butter. Now, I recommend, I'm at a slightly awkward angle here, but I recommend that you hold the jar, even if you're standing right in front of the machine, which you certainly will be. And it's not so much to keep the jar from flying off. It's not going to do that. It just gives you a little more leverage as you spin the top. So we'll go to speed 5 and we'll see how this thing works. It's not quite, it's almost there, but it's not quite as smooth as I wanted. If you wanted it very slightly crunchy, it is in fact done in 50 seconds. I'm going to let it run for just a few more seconds. And that's literally all I need time-wise. We're going to call that finished. I would say the whole thing. You can check the timer on the video to be sure, but I'm going to guess it took about a minute. And we'll show you our results. I'll show you first inside the jar. Very, very smooth. It's really almost perfect. And here's what it looks like on bread. How good does that look? And one more thing I wanted to show you. It also comes with a handy spatula that is designed specifically for this jar. Unique end. You can get in there and get every single bit of anything you're making in this jar out with this spatula, and again, it comes with the jar.